Good afternoon from Little Creek Bee Ranch. It's December 27th, about 2 in the afternoon. Oh, probably the low 60s maybe. And we're feeding again. There's a reason I'm showing you this here, but let's go through some feeding tips. Here's 2 buckets, the top buckets I'm talking about. And each one of them is 2 gallons of sugar water. Just simple old sugar water that I set out a little while ago. I don't know, maybe an hour or 2 ago, and the bees are taking to it. Now, there's a reason I'm doing all this, and I just want to cover this first, and I'll tell you why. I love feeding the bees at the appropriate times. Now, the springtime, we're not interested in feeding the big hives, of course, because we want the raw natural nectar. And the small groups of bees we'll feed to boost them and get them up. But it's winter time, and it's a nice day. Now the 2 bottom buckets are just empty. They're just there as a stand, because the bottom, if you notice, the bottom of the bucket has a rib, and it catches all the excess sugar water that's just dripping out of the 2 top buckets. That's the only reason that's there. And over here is a feeding station for the brood builder powder, which they absolutely love. And the silver pot on the right is just a pot that we use to make the power protein blocks, or protein power blocks, whatever. And it's just got residual hard sugar in it. But I love feeding the bees powder, the protein. Now, if they didn't want it or didn't need it, you wouldn't see this many bees here. Let's see if I can hold the iPad and shake some powder in at the same time. Make some powder. I can't see, I don't know how I'm doing. Oh, let's see, get some powder in there. And we'll go over here to the silver bucket, some powder in there, whatever. Back over here to the other bucket that was empty. Okay, quite a bit. I'm really putting down more than I ever really do, but that's cool. Okay, now, let me put my can back. Okay, lots of bees from all over. These just aren't from my hives. I've even got bees standing here on the iPad on my side of the iPad. Now here's the deal. Here's why I do this. If bees are left to their own devices in the wintertime and you don't do any supplemental feeding, get a lot of wintertime dwindle. The colony will cluster up. They may be alive, but they dwindle down to maybe 3 frames of bees or whatever. But by stimulating them like this on nice days, and then the fact that we put them on leaves, we set the beehives down on the ground to take away the cold air from underneath the hive. What I'm hoping is the combination of supplemental feeding will stimulate them to lay a little bit more than they normally would. And I mean, I know they're winter time, and that queen, she may be laying a little tiny bit. But now the beehives are on the ground, and it's warmer, and the fact that you're feeding them little supplemental food, it may benefit me in a couple of months or 3. We may have more bees about March time than we normally would without doing all this. These are extra steps, and I know a lot of people don't do this, but I get tired of the wintertime dwindle coming into March time. I get tired of that because it takes time to build out that brood box, and that's about a month and a half to get everybody built out. And so I'm hoping that through some strategy, putting the beehives on the ground, on a tuft of leaves to cut out the cold air, and doing periodic supplemental feeding like this, that we will see fat colonies in March time. That's my hope anyway. And I've never been able to, 8 years of full-time beekeeping, I've never been able to come out of wintertime without losing 3 or 4 colonies. They just die, even if they have honey up top. Don't associate no honey with dying. No, they'll have honey up top. It'll be an inch away from them and they die. So a great mystery here, and we're trying to apply some strategies and increase the brood production even though it's winter time. Let's go over here to the sugar water. Even to the winter time. Let's see, bees aren't stupid. From wherever they come from, they want to eat, and they're smart enough to know we don't want the pantry going down too far. So a little bit of sugar water, freestanding sugar water, whether they're my bees or whoever's bees, whatever, and a little bit of a supplemental powder feeding right behind them. That's what we have right here. Just a few yards apart, 8 yards apart. And maybe by the fact that we put the bees on the ground on a tuft of leaves to take away the cold air, maybe this will make a bigger difference. Got a long ways to go still till the end of March. So we're not even halfway there is how I feel. But look at them. This is the second, this would be the 3rd time today that I've added powder to the bucket. The 3rd time. That's how much they're taking up, taking back. So if they didn't need it and didn't want it, they wouldn't be doing this. But that's good. I bet that stimulated queen a little bit. Maybe since it's warmer in the hive, it's on the ground, no cold air running underneath them. Maybe that queen will be willing to lay just a little bit more. And we'll pay attention to them. I walked all the apiaries this morning. Everybody was flying, so all 27 are still alive, and 3 nukes in that group of 27. So we'll see how we do. Let's take a listen. Say hello, girls. Feeding the bees at Little Creek Bee Ranch, I know, Oklahoma. Have a happy new year.